At some point, the seeds will awaken.
Is it that in life? We also have to reach that threshold where we keep being curious to know who we are. Not just simply that we are our parents' children. How did you know these things and begin to be passionate about exploring them, or was it just because you work with wood every day and as an artist that led you to this curiosity about such knowledge?
This question I often get asked, but it's very hard to answer, first of all. The difficulty is that if I say I took these things from some source, books or even AI, then it wouldn't be correct. But if I say that I did not take from it, did not rely on it to make my discoveries, that wouldn't be entirely right either. What happened here was a kind of fortune that I touched. I came into contact with that source, and from that current, it allowed me to see a holistic view of a historical flow, perhaps 5,000 years long. It helped me see many new perspectives that I could never have found before in books or on the internet. And that's the challenge in answering such a question. The difficulty lies in the sense that if I say I already knew this, it wouldn't be correct. If I say I took it from others, that's not correct either. It's absolutely not. But if I say I didn't take it from others, that would also be wrong. Because, for example, in the knowledge I share, of course, it comes from a shared foundation of knowledge throughout history. So saying no isn't right, but saying yes is also wrong. And we return to the story, to the original question that Ni asked, which was about Shennong tea. After wandering around with such lofty ideas, we return to something very practical. This tea is made from black beans by a teacher. She carefully selects these black beans, and after cleaning them, she soaks them in salt water, soaks them with ginger, then dries them and roasts them, roasted by hand, then buries them in the earth to balance yin and yang. That creates this tea that is especially fragrant. And it takes up to 24 hours before it begins to change. Normally, when we buy black bean tea at the market, where they also roast it, if we try it and brew it, within 6 hours, it already changes and smells up.
Yes, but this tastes so good.
By around 8 to 10 hours, it goes bad. But this tea, you can leave it overnight. Brew it in the morning, leave it till evening, even overnight, and even until noon the next day. That's when you start to notice a change in aroma, different from the day before. So the time is at least 24 hours. So what makes it able to last that long? People explain that it's a balance of yin and yang in the technique of roasting and burying in the earth, especially with the soaking in ginger water.
Oh no, I need to find this teacher to order for me, please. Because when I was little, I used to drink this all the time. Whenever we ate out, or even at home, there was always that container, what we used to call a styrofoam box, not exactly, but the box where we kept ice. What's it called again? That white water container with the red lid. Every house had one. That was the ice box then. Grandma, aunts, or whoever cooked sweet soup poured it in, threw ice inside, and this was it. Every day we drank that. Many times when eating out, I also drank it but wondered, why is it hot yet when you drink it? It feels cool? I mean, you can feel the coolness inside. And this tea, I've known it since childhood. So earlier I said, oh, childhood memories. They all came rushing back. This is tea from central Vietnam. It turns out that yin-yang balance makes us feel cool.
In the countryside, there are many kinds of teas, from beans, black bean tea, red bean tea, mung bean tea. All of them give a fragrant aroma. And the children in the countryside who drink this seem to have it touch their souls. And when they grow up, they carry those memories.
Now that I'm grown, I can't find it anymore. I can't find this tea anymore. It's gone. I already finished the whole pot at your place.
And now people are returning to drinking traditional teas from plants and leaves.
Yes, that's right. So why did you choose this tea for ULCC?
Simply because that teacher lives right next door.
Ah, because the teacher right next door supporting her business.
But that's not really the main reason. The reason is, when I heard that teacher say this tea, you can leave it overnight. It doesn't spoil. I didn't believe it. Then I tried leaving it until noon the next day. And only then did I start to notice a different smell. The next morning I tried straining it to drink. Drinking in the mid-morning, then again at noon. Oh, I found it was so special, because before, when I brewed tea, within 6 hours it would already spoil. And secondly, its aroma, its fragrance. Thirdly, when I went to her house, her beans were perfect, every one of them. All the shriveled and worm-eaten ones had been removed. They had been washed, soaked in salt water, then soaked in ginger water, and roasted on the stove until very fragrant. So I felt convinced.
The cameramen, they've been nodding off this whole time, Uncle. Soon they'll definitely take a whole batch back to Da Nang.
I realized it was right here, right beside me, so why look elsewhere? And I chose it to include in Shennong tea. Shennong tea is a group of teas, very diverse with many different ingredients being teas, leaf teas, etc. But this one is Shennong black bean tea. Just add the word black bean. Next time when we drink a tea, maybe picked from a flower the jasmine right next to us. It's still Shennong tea. It's natural. Just different in that it's Shennong jasmine tea.
Dennis said that when he drank it, he felt familiar as if he had drunk it when he was little. But the taste is also very unique. Dennis asked, was it difficult for you when you decided to open your place to foreigners? Because you seem like a very traditional person. So Dennis said, was this a very difficult choice to balance between Europe, Western culture, and us Asians, our culture? Because you seem very traditional and classic.
It won't be difficult because, first of all, you understand that Westerners are seeking what is very Vietnamese. And we already have those things, very Vietnamese things right here. The challenge is that we don't know English, but there is a
But his blessing is his next generation, all his children can speak English.
So then, use yin to supplement yang, use yang to
So
supplement
again,
yin.
yin and yang again for him. He very traditional, but the kid is very westernized. So that now they join together. That's why you see the artwork of Yui as a mixture of his talent in the black gene, but at the same time it's the art from Westerner, right? Yeah.
So use tradition as the foundation, and use modernity to develop it.
What I want to know, because I also want more people to come here, is when people arrive, they will feel a strong sense of nature, of peace. And sometimes they don't want to go back to their outside lives anymore. I want more young people to start exploring this and to understand more about Shennong as well as wet rice culture and the beauty of Vietnamese culture, as you said. Do you have any secret methods to help your children like Dai and the other two little ones to start appreciating these things? Because for me, I only began appreciating this after I went far away and worked abroad. I was exposed to many different cultures. And then I began To ask myself, wow, Vietnam also has its own unique beauty. Why did I never notice it, as they say? Right in front of your own house, you never see the beauty of it until you travel around the world and return and realize the view in front of my house is the most beautiful. So how do you teach your children to love nature and to appreciate the classic and traditional things that you have preserved?
In a very natural way. Firstly, the children who are born in this village, from a very young age, without intention, are instilled with a love of nature. But the motivation is that I really like, every afternoon, after finishing work at 5 p.m., I preferred going out into nature rather than staying at home. Back then, as a child, I was assigned to look after the kids, to help my mother and grandmother during cooking time. So the way of taking the children out to the fields was a gentle way of babysitting.
Most effectively,
It fulfilled all my criteria. First, it satisfied my own enjoyment, while also completing the duty excellently. And when I took the kids to the fields, I was amazed that the children, when exposed to nature, were so overjoyed, unimaginably happy. You should try taking kids, letting them out in the fields, in open spaces, letting them wade in the sand, letting them wade in the water, scoop sand and build castles, and even let them plunge into a shallow part of the river to enjoy themselves freely. Then they were so delighted, playing and adjusting to the hours. And usually when evening came, when I had to take them home, they refused. They tried every way to stay. Just like this afternoon, when you all went bathing at the Sun Stream. I remember as a kid, whenever I took Trung and Dai, the older ones, and Trung, I let them choose a pool formed by natural rocks. Clear, crystal clear. Each child would lie in one of those pools. And when called to go home, they tried everything to resist. They would climb out, then jump into another pool. They stalled for time just to stay there. That's why I felt that nearly every afternoon, during the time they were still little, I would take them to the fields. Every free moment I had, I'd bring them on one motorbike. I carried 6 kids. 3 were mine, and the neighbor kids too, adding 3 more to share that joy. So one cub motorbike carried 6 kids and me, making it a 7-seater.
luckily, all Vietnamese kids are small-sized, tiny so you can squeeze them in.
And I took them out to the sandy banks, beside a river. And when they got bored of one place, they would go explore others. There were so many, countless spots. So throughout their childhood, they were immersed in that love for nature. And I believe that all of that stays in their minds, and even if, as they grow up, for a while they may get caught up in studies, the internet, and temptations, at some point, the seeds will awaken. That love will resurface. And that is another way. Through our genetic inheritance. Surely it has already been embedded in our children, waiting for the right moment. Then, when the wave of westernization and extroversion is so strong, our children may be caught in the same situation. But then, at some age, they will realize the value of nature, the value of the village, what we already have, what we once took for granted. It will become important. So the return to oneself, to the true self, to find real happiness. That is why I never fear my children will drift away.
I can also see that confidence in you. That's why I asked that question, because I feel like you're someone who is so calm to the point that, okay, go wherever you want, but you'll come back eventually. I can sense that presence when you care for your children, or when you raise them, and I agree with you. Because even myself, I didn't have, for example, parents to teach me to love nature, but just because I grew up in the countryside. Now I travel the world, and even earlier when I was in the car coming back here, my friend asked me, hey, what's that green fruit? I never realized it was an orange, because back home the peel is green. But everywhere else in the world, the peel of an orange is orange. So when my friends come to Vietnam, I have to explain, that's an orange. You don't know what an orange is. Then I pause for 3 seconds and say, oh right, in Australia or Singapore, oranges must have orange peels. So there are things normal to us. Like our langsat fruit, for example. I have to explain to my friends, this is langsat. And they go, langsat, what's that? Then I have to use Google Translate, or like that fruit. We just ate the spiky one. That's rambutan. These Asian fruits of ours, our most rural, humble fruits from the past. We used to see them as ordinary and obvious, but now, traveling the world, we still long for them. At supermarkets, when we don't see them, we have to go to Asian stores. They're so expensive there and often wilted. So we return to that. That seed you planted in us. Do you feel that now? Is it harder to pass down? And how do you keep the fire alive to preserve the Shennong story and continue passing it on to the next ones? Because for me, honestly, earlier you said I was flattering you, but I'm truly grateful because honestly, I get to hear this story from someone still alive. That's you. Because in so many places I've been around the world, I only get to read books or watch a very short video of that person talking about some story or some kind of research, and often when I want to ask, I don't get to ask like I do now. So where does that fire come from that lets you keep protecting your story as well as nurturing your children, planting seeds in them?
Because when we truly recognize the value of Shennong, it is the spirit. Within the value of Shennong lies the spirit of harmony with nature. In harmony with nature, we need not fear that the younger generation will lose their way. When someone chooses the path of culture to share cultural values, especially the culture of Shennong, they must understand the law of Shennong. Everything follows nature. And when it follows nature, there is nothing we need to rush, nothing to force. Because we realize that the law of the world is shifting. People are searching for the value of Shennong. And Westerners, it seems they are paying more attention to this, while our Vietnamese people are being drawn toward Western values, so we are running away. But it's okay, let us run.
In the end, we all return, don't we?
Then at some point we will hit a threshold, and we will have to run back.
Surely, yes, that's it. I can already see through you.
It seems we are slow, but we must run back to this. And if we don't, then society, the environment, and living conditions will hit us painfully or throw us from highs to lows. And we will wake up and run back. But there will be some who don't run back because their vibration frequency in their minds has already been limited, overwhelmed by too many things, wrapped around them. So, even if they fall and it hurts, they cannot feel it because everything has been cut off so deeply. Those are the souls that can be said to be less fortunate. But I believe those of you here are the ones who have an energy, a certain dynamism, and that dynamism is also in your thinking. So you will soon realize it.
I also want to make these videos for young people because I remember when I was their age. Finding this kind of information was extremely difficult. With the internet and with video now, it's easier to find this. Is there a story that stands out to you when someone came here and also drank Shennong tea? And despite many layers of cover, you shared with them and helped them realize the energy, like you said, gradually. Gradually, they also realized?
Since I started working in tourism, I've had the chance to meet many people, including young people, older people, and foreigners. Foreign guests, and especially young foreigners. Sometimes the differences between East and West can be a barrier, but they can also be a very convenient gateway. Because when sitting together, people don't look at, they're not limited by, they're not trapped by some kind of image. So it's very easy to open up and listen to stories. And those are very interesting stories, stories that feel like a person from the West coming to us through translations or even through Google Translate. Yet they reach deeply. We touch them, and they also touch us. Both sides share a resonance.
That's how, the first time I returned, I met you. At home I said, wow, I met Uncle Phil. And it feels like I've known him for a very long time. Did you also see that in me? That tiredness of a girl who had traveled all over the world. Now, worn out, I'm finally back in Vietnam to search for these things. And it was such a coincidence that when I met you in the coming episodes, I'll do more of that. In the following days when I'm here, I really want you to tell the stories behind your works. Because honestly, even now, I still get goosebumps. Because it really touches the very core of who I am. In the past, when I searched for who am I studied science and knowledge. I studied psychology to explain who I am. Then I searched into my DNA to see who I am. And I kept on searching, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Even more. And layer by layer, I kept meeting different interesting people who shared with me. So then, is this similar to your own journey too? I'm curious. Does everyone in life have to reach that threshold where we keep being curious, knowing who we are, not simply that we are just our parents' children?
That is an interesting journey. But if I keep telling, it will be endless. So let's leave it for another episode.
I noticed that many people who travel are actually lost, not knowing who they are. So they come here to find out who they are.
There's a lot. I'll share two typical cases. One was a Canadian man who came here and signed up for a 5-day course to experience wood carving, eating, and living with the family. But then he ended up staying 14 days. He flew from Bangkok to Da Nang airport, then took a taxi here. After 14 days, he went back to the airport and flew to Bangkok. And during a meal, I asked him, have you been to Vietnam many times? He answered that it was his first time in Asia. He didn't bother going to Da Nang, Hoi An, or anywhere else. He just devoted himself from morning till night. And after dinner, he worked until 9 or 10 p.m. All he did was experience. At first I thought, he must really love this craft. Of course, but later through conversations, I came to understand that he had just quit a job and wanted to travel. His journey, I felt, wasn't about the outside world, but he was searching for something inside. Another case was a young man, only 26 years old. This one seemed very joyful because he came with her. Well, he seemed full of life because he came with her. His girlfriend not like that Canadian guy. During our conversation, he said that when he worked with his hands carving wood, he felt as though he was returning, reconnecting with something inside himself. And another case, there was a friend of Di's in Canada.
Another friend from Canada, from his son.
She connected with me through Facebook and learned about the tourism story here.
Yeah, and he start understand how here do the tourists.
And then she had two choices. One was to go to a retreat at Plum Village in Thailand, or to come here.
You need to pick that, go for meditation trip in Thailand or come here.
She asked for my opinion, and I told her I welcomed her.
I say, when he asked him, he said, I will welcome you here if you come.
So from Canada she flew to Korea, from Korea to Da Nang, then here, and stayed more than 20 days.
So the boy come from Canada to Korean transit to Da Nang, go direct to here, and he stay here almost a month.
I gave her 21 mornings,
21 morning.
each morning lasting 2.5 to nearly 3 hours.
Every morning he give him 2.5 an hour to 3 hours.
The two of us sat facing each other, drinking tea, burning incense, and I only did one thing, listened to her life story. She was a 34-year-old woman, and my one task was to listen with my whole heart. She began to rewind the film of her life from age 3 to age 34,
Until she's 34.
rewinding slowly
It's like a movie,
and profoundly.
and it's very concise.
And after 21 days, something inside her broke open.
Yeah, after 21 days, she burst, breakthrough.
Her difficulties, her crises, back in Canada, began to find a way out.
Finally, she have a way to get out from her situation in Canada.
And it wasn't that I gave advice or shared much, just that I listened.
He said he did not do anything, he just listened for 21 days.
And then I asked what had allowed her to break through that knot, perhaps. It was that she had the chance, over 21 mornings, to review her whole life, carefully, with clarity, and with great peace. With someone fully present, listening to her. She realized that she had never had an occasion to look back on her life like that. And she recognized what strengths she had, what weaknesses she had, and how she would move forward, in which direction, in alignment with her talents and shortcomings, with her thoughts, her inner flow. And that was the way she resolved the issue. And while listening like that, I felt that her energy and mine were being connected together and connected upward. Even though I didn't say much, she realized so many things, perhaps more than if I had spoken, through such an invisible way. And there were many corners, many issues that after 21 days, she realized so interesting. So the art of listening is truly important. And in a society that is moving so fast, it seems people don't sit down to really listen to anyone. Each person is a world with their own story, and almost all connections between people are broken. So one of the secrets of healing, according to me, is Listen with all your heart.
That's why every time I return, when I get to listen to you, through your talks, your sharing, since I know you are very humble and don't dare call them lessons, but to me they are. It is wisdom, it is life truth. Every time I come back here and listen, truly, I receive so much from you. Because when we go out into society, many times we're caught in that cycle of, nobody gets me. They think I'm crazy. But now, when I come here and confide in you, or talk with you, I feel like you don't need to say much. Yet you understand me. Oh, for the first time in my life, I can talk to someone who doesn't need many words and still understands what I mean, even when language itself cannot fully express it. I agree with you, because it's the heart-to-heart connection. With true sincerity. Being there, for someone fully, as you say, wholeheartedly. This connection with someone, yes, this, it's not by chance, is it? Do you believe that? Do you believe it's not by chance that we can meet someone and have such deep conversations and connection?
It seems it isn't by chance, meaning in that flow of energy, in those thoughts, there was already a resonance somewhere. We only needed to touch it, and it would burst forth.
Every time I ask you, it's like, for example, when I get stuck like trapped in my head, I don't know how to release it. But when you share with me, like earlier, when you shared, there was one sentence that startled me. Because lately, my work over there has been overwhelming. But every time I'm there, I can't find the peace I find here. Here, I sit, drink tea, and meditate with you. And earlier you said something that startled me. Let everything follow its natural flow at some point. Everyone will return to it. So, for example, with my company, sometimes it doesn't go the way I want. Or my company may even disregard. Because as the owner, I attach the thought that I must take responsibility for everyone. I pay salaries, so I feel like I've lost that natural flow. And a bit of frustration arises. Then I say to myself, why as the boss am I not good at this? Maybe I calculated something wrong, which is why my company is like this month. Then suddenly, your words made me pause. So what you said about the skill of listening is very important, and I agree, because if I were here, but my mind was thinking about numbers in Singapore, I don't think I could have these moments. But thank you, because every moment I begin with you, you always help me find peace again, to refocus and to connect with you so that I can deliver the truest message to the audience. Because when I do this, I simply say that those who are truly deep and rich in material from making videos are often those like you who choose a reclusive life. So when you said yes and agreed to film with me, I was so happy because I said, these are legacy videos, and I'm so fortunate in my life to have the chance to ask you, have you ever?
I don't know about those things.
This is exactly the special quality of someone hidden away in an alley. Once the video's done, I'll show you the comments and you'll understand right away. I'll tell all the viewers to come here and leave comments below for you to read. So you'll know you should make more videos, and Ni will ask even more on their behalf. So send in your questions, and Ni will come here to ask Uncle Thu for you.
It all began with a cup of tea, so we'll continue with the tea story. And next we'll take about 3 or 4 minutes to calm ourselves, so the energy can continue flowing with the story of Shennong tea. If we observe closely, we will see there is a source. Very interesting. Tea is a product of agricultural culture. It began from an agricultural culture. In ancient history, Shennong tasted plants and leaves. 2. Discover medicinal herbs to help with healing. And surely, With the spirit of prevention being better than cure, he would advise people to consume even when not ill. That is the origin of tea. And we see the tea culture. Tea is usually paired with cakes, with preserves, never with a plate of meat. But when we drink alcohol, do we pair it with cakes or preserves? We must have a plate of meat. And we see that alcohol originated from the nomadic people of the north or the west. Because of the cold climate, they were nomads. And nomads ate meat only with vegetables. Vegetables and fruits were not their main food. And the nomadic environment did not allow much farming. Not much at all. Since they raised livestock, they ate meat. And in a cold environment, they needed alcohol. That drink alcohol to warm themselves and digest meat better. But for farmers in the warm, sunny regions of Southeast Asia and East Asia, there was an abundance of plants and herbs to make tea. And they only needed to drink tea with cakes and preserves. It was very fitting. And the conversations over tea, they are gentle, aren't they? Rarely do people drink tea together and then fight. But when people drink alcohol, they might fight. So I sum it up with the easiest phrase to remember: tea with vegetarian, alcohol with meat. Those pairs go together, and alcohol with meat is very boisterous, to the point of agitation. And it fits with a culture that is outward-looking, global. Whereas tea is about calmness, an inward-facing cultural trait. That is the cultural character of Western Shennong civilization. So with the trend of the Shennong civilization rising again, of course it only awakens in those who have a certain level of awareness, and it is everywhere on this planet, not belonging to any single nation. That is the distinctive and fascinating trait of this contemporary Shennong culture. That's why we should encourage tea culture rather than alcohol culture. And that's also a reason why we call those teas the tea of Shennong, while alcohol belongs to emperors.
You came back only a month ago, right? And already you see the changes. When you arrived, everything was still under renovation. Messy, but now it's all settled. You should register with Dai to come. If Dai is too busy, then register with Ni's team and they'll arrange for you to visit. You must come here. Remember to support our homeland.
Art is the expression of the unconscious. The flowers and grasses of the Vietnamese countryside, all the materials found in the garden, in the village, in the hamlet. From legends we can elevate them to a philosophical level. The spiritual energy of the land creates its produce.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will come back with you with another episode and another amazing guest. Bye!